Hey, I'm out here taking a walk next to the creek here, or river, whatever you want to call it. It's a beautiful day out today. Not too cold. It is February in Ohio, so it's not necessarily warm, but it's not extremely cold. And I like to come out. This is my favorite time of year to take walks and just think and process things. And obviously the last while my mind's been going 100 miles an hour, probably like everybody, right? I mean, there's just a lot of craziness going on. But first of all, take a look at this nice river. I think here, we wouldn't call this a river, but it's a creek. I know some people would call it a river because it's like if you go out west, their rivers are actually not very wide most of the time, depending on which river you're looking at, obviously, but it's very nice, very relaxing. So, I guess part of the things I'm processing right now are, obviously all the craziness that's going on in the United States right now. And we have such heavily divided sides on it that it makes you feel like you need to choose a side, right? It makes you feel like you have to pick a side, one or the other. Both sides are so dead set on what they know or what they think they know. And they make you feel like if you haven't picked a side yet, obviously with the whole Trump thing, right? Like conservative or liberal or right or left or whatever. I mean, there's like this whole culture war going on in the United States right now, like really, really bad. And it makes you feel bad, and people make you feel bad when you don't choose a side. The one side will think, if you aren't just absolutely opposed to Trump, they'll think you're part of the, right-wing, movement, like that you're part of the whole fascist movement and all that kind of stuff. And then if you don't side with Trump, then, that side can kind of make you feel like you're an idiot, because it's like, well, how could you not see that this is exactly what the United States needs, right? And I've got family and friends on both sides of it. And I'm not sitting there saying that this comes from everybody, but I'm more kind of like the extremes of both worlds, right? And, for the first time in my adult life, I did not vote because I flat out didn't know what to do. And I was very conflicted about this because I grew up thinking that, voting is your absolute civic duty. And I mean, to a degree, I understand it, but with the way that the United States is right now and with the way our politics are, but especially this election cycle, right? Like it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And like I was saying, there's a lot of people that want to force you into one side or the other. Like if they either want you to be their ally, and if you're not, then they completely throw you out as being something else, like that they just can't get along with or whatever, that you're just crazy. My whole conclusion that I came to is that I started realizing that you don't have to know. Like, it's okay for you to not know what to do. It's okay to not choose a side. It's okay to kind of be sitting there going, I don't know what's going on and I don't know what to make of it. I don't think there's enough people in this country and in this world that are willing to admit when they don't know the answer to something. I think we are so taught, that we have to know the answer to everything. And we kind of get this comfort from being certain about everything. We think that certainty brings us, some form of comfort. And it's hard sometimes for us to just simply say, I don't know, especially as crazy and divided as everybody is right now. But I have a couple thoughts on it, I guess. There's a lot of people that are asking, well, why are you not like outraged at Trump right now, right? And everything that's going on. So there's definitely a lot of Europeans that are doing this, and there's obviously a lot of Americans as well. But I think the way that I process through this and the way that it makes sense to me is that here in the United States, we have known for a very long time that our system is broken, that there are a lot of things going on that just don't make sense. Our cost of living is extremely high. Like, our property taxes are going crazy. Our medical system is completely broken. If a company doesn't pay for your health insurance in this country, then you almost can't afford to get it yourself because it's that expensive. And then if you do have insurance, that doesn't even necessarily guarantee that you're even going to get the proper care that you need, because they can just deny your claim. Like, they can come up with some crazy reason and just simply tell you that you can't get the treatments that you need. Found a fantastic little place to chill out at in here. I found this big tree surrounded by these big reeds or weeds, whatever you want to call them, that kind of shelter me from the wind a little bit so it won't mess with the camera too bad. Have my coffee sitting down there. So we'll see if it works here. Like, both sides of the aisle, I guess you could say, know that there's a lot of broken things in this country right now. Our healthcare system is in shambles. Obviously, we know that our cost of insurance is absolutely insane. If a company doesn't give you insurance, then you as a person just at an average 9-to-5 job can't really afford the insurance. And even if you have the insurance, it doesn't guarantee that you're actually going to get the care that you need. The insurance companies can just deny your claims if they want to, for whatever random reason that they decide to come up with. And even the treatment that you do get in some of the hospitals, I want to be very careful. I don't want to make the people who work in the hospitals, I don't want to make it sound like they don't care about what they're doing. A lot of them are overworked. A lot of hospitals are understaffed. And then I think that the training that they get as far as the treatments and everything that are available here in the United States, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in our hospitals that's just not good. Like, the treatment can be very subpar. And, once again, I'm not trying to offend anybody that works in these hospitals, but it's just simply true. There's a lot of stuff that our doctors miss or whatever. It's a long story, but just, our healthcare system is just not up to the level that a lot of, like, European nations and stuff is. Our life expectancy isn't near as high. Like, it's 10 years behind some other countries. Our life expectancy is around 74 and falling. I hear a donkey over there. I don't know who would live down there that would have a donkey, but I hear one. Anyways, that's a whole different story too. So anyways, we have a lot of problems in our medical industry with the insurance companies. Is just insane. Obviously, we know there's a ton of problems there. There are problems with our pharmaceutical companies. So, I'm not sitting there trying to say that they want to kill you, but they also don't care if you die. And I think that's the same thing with the insurance companies. I'm not sitting there trying to say our medical industry is just trying to kill everybody, like some conspiracy theorists might. But I understand why they may think that, because I don't think they care if you die either. Because it's all about money. These are all corporations. These are for, privately owned companies, and they're trying to make money. So it makes sense, since the United States, everything is based off of money here. Like, it's all about making money. If you're not making money, if something isn't making money, then you shouldn't have the program. You shouldn't be allowed to do it. And so if somebody, even if their health is at risk, if you have a bunch of expensive treatments that you need in order to stay alive, in order to fight something like cancer or whatever. If these insurance companies think all of a sudden that they're going to start losing money on you, they can literally just cut you off from those treatments and not pay for them because it's all about making money. They would literally rather cut you off from the treatment sometimes and just let you die. And that's not an exaggeration. That's literally not an exaggeration in this country. That's how messed up our medical system is. Pharmaceuticals, we tend to treat the surface level problems, like we'll sit there and treat the symptoms rather than trying to actually get you well. And once again, the pharmaceutical companies, the cost of our pharmaceuticals are astronomical. If your insurance doesn't cover it, then sometimes people literally can't afford the medications that they need. And then our healthcare system also keeps you on the medication rather than trying to get you better and get you off the medications. They'll just kind of keep treating everything with medications, which leads to further problems, which leads to putting you on more medications and so on. It's kind of like an avalanche. I know somebody that I work with right now that, I think him and his spouse are on like just an astronomical amount of medications right now, and I don't even understand how they survive on them. The doctors can't figure out some of the health problems that they're having, and there's a really good chance that the amount of medications that they're on are causing such severe side effects that the doctors don't even really know what's going on anymore. And they don't really know how to treat it because, if you're on 10 different medications that you have to take in a day, how do you know what's causing what? And how do you know that all of a sudden these random muscle spasms that they're having, and losing control of their muscles, like what's causing it? Is it one drug? Is it a combination of 5, 6, 7 different drugs, right? And then, we have the chemicals in our food that I think we have, from what I've seen, we have more chemicals in our food than a lot of other countries have. Now, also, Americans, we don't really know how to eat. So we have a problem over here too, where I think, we were taught growing up that we should trust our government, that we should, if they tell us something, we should believe it. So if things like fast food and stuff were deemed as safe, and the chemicals, the preservatives that they put in it, we kind of grew up when I was younger, not even really questioning those things. So we have a lot of people in the United States who grew up on fast food, on processed food and stuff. So to a degree, the medical industry can't necessarily compensate for somebody who's growing up on Burger King, right? But the chemicals that are in our food, like, they're to the extreme. Like we almost can't go out and buy anything to eat without having a bunch of chemicals in it. And even if you say that those chemicals are safe, if you're consuming them on a daily basis, or if you're consuming them at a rate higher than what is recommended, they could become very dangerous. And so having a little bit here and there may not be a big deal, but if you're kind of, if you're buying your lunch every day and you're buying stuff that the FDA says is safe to eat, but you're eating it on a daily basis, like, there's a chance it could kill you, and it's a pretty good chance it could do that, actually. It can be as bad or worse for you than smoking. It's kind of crazy when, you'd almost rather smoke than eat some of the food that's out there. But so I'm saying all of this stuff to try to get to a point, right? So people like me, kind of in the center of this whole thing, we see all of this broken stuff that's out there, and we don't know necessarily what to do about it. So I don't like Trump. Like, I don't like the guy as a person, the way that he conducts himself, the way he talks about other people, the way he talks about himself. He's extremely full of himself. He talks very bad about other people. He obviously trash talks immigrants. That whole thing, I don't like that. I wouldn't care if somebody that's in the country illegally, gets picked up by the police because they did something bad, because they were, committing some violent crime, or that, anything like that. And then they're like, hey, well, we have you here, you're illegal, we're just going to deport you. That would be fine. Like, I wouldn't care. The way that he talks about illegal immigrants, though, and what he's trying to do with the ones that are just kind of here. It seems like he's just doing it out of spite, because I don't even think it makes economical sense to deport illegal immigrants in this country, because I think it would actually cost us more to deport them than what it actually would save us. Somebody did a study on how much it actually costs us on average to deport one immigrant back to their country, and I think it's over $11,000 per illegal immigrant. Don't quote me on that, but you should go look it up, because it's actually very interesting. All the cost, the manpower, everything that's in there. Like, if we were actually to do what Trump is proposing, how many we would actually go and deport, it would cost us billions and billions of dollars just to do that. And I don't think that we would ever make it back economically, because here's another kicker, that a lot of the jobs that illegal immigrants are taking in this country, like, working at like a meat packing plant. We have a couple of those around here. What are you going to get paid doing something like that? $15 an hour? Just as a general laborer there, most of the time they don't pay very well doing something like that. And the average person here in the United States cannot survive off $15 an hour. Okay, so if you could sit there and say, well, that, if you're a high schooler or something like that, or in your 20s, maybe you could go do that. But I don't know a lot of young kids who are willing to do that anymore, because they know that they're not going to get anywhere. Like the whole old American dream that we've been taught about, that we were taught as children growing up, that I think our parents lived in. I'm not even sitting here trying to say our parents were dishonest, like them growing up in like the 50s and stuff. If you went and got a job, and you went and just spent time working there, and you were consistent, and you showed that you were reliable and competent, you could do almost anything like that, working at a meat packing plant, at some type of a manufacturing facility, and you were going to be all right. Okay, you were going to be okay. You were going to be able to make a living. You were going to be able to take your family on a vacation. You were going to be able to send your kids to school, to college, and so on and so forth. But now that's simply not the case. That whole thing of being taught that if you go and get a job and you just work, you're going to be okay, that's not true anymore. That's not true. So you can't expect our young kids to go out there and work at these jobs that they know are not going to lead anywhere. And we also know that just because you have a college degree now doesn't mean that you're actually going to get a good job. And the college, we're pretty much forcing all of our young kids to go to college, and then they're coming out with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, because that's another for-profit business, right? It's not about education. It's about making money, because everything in the United States is privately owned, and everything is about making money, an astronomical amount of money. I mean, the money they make off of everything is just ridiculous, off of essential services. So we're essentially forcing our young kids to go into massive amounts of debt before they've even really had any chance at making any kind of money, never even really had any good jobs or anything like that. So I'm saying all of this to say that, to think that we're going to deport immigrants, that they're taking these jobs away from Americans, that I feel like that's a lie too. This is a personal opinion. I feel like that's a lie, because I don't think that the average American, even young person, is able to take those jobs and survive and really do anything with it. They'd have a hard time getting an apartment, having a car payment, and paying off their student loans or anything like that. Or, let's say they didn't even go to college, just getting an apartment, having a car, and having a cell phone and stuff like that. And with the cost of living anymore, you almost wouldn't be able to afford any of that. And it's not the young generation's fault either. I'm saying all of this to say that I don't agree with Trump on a lot of things. There's a lot of things about the man that I don't like. But on the flip side of this, okay, we have people going nuts right now because, he's got like Elon Musk in there, he's got RFK Jr. going into all of these different, federal institutions and just wreaking havoc in it, right? Going through and just working people up like crazy. People are losing their minds. But if the medical system is broken, if the education system is broken, if all of these different systems are broken and are failing and are just simply not working anymore, then what does it take? That might actually be what it takes to fix this. Now, people are saying that he's doing like this fascist thing where he could just end up being a dictator and all of his cronies are in place and he's going to end up kind of creating this regime and stuff like that. And I want to be clear that I see that as being a possibility. It could be that he's doing that. It could be that he's being completely insincere in his intentions and that he could be creating some kind of a fascist regime. That's actually a possibility, and I'm not trying to say that it's not. But there's also a really good chance that if we are going to rework the systems in this country, that what he is doing right now in them is exactly what is needed. How are we going to fix a broken medical system that is owned by corporations, that are literally allowing our citizens and stuff to die, that are allowing our education system to get run into the dirt, that are doing all of these ridiculous things? And how are we going to fix them if we don't shake them up? There's always going to be somebody who's going to sit there and say that what we're doing isn't right, especially if it's somebody who may have lost their job. Okay, I understand that that would be absolutely horrible, but if we're going to fix a system, you kind of have to go in it probably like a bull in a china shop in order to do it. So I'm sitting over here and I'm looking at this, and we're not even, a month into his presidency really. And I'm sitting here going, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I haven't made up my mind yet. And that's okay. It's okay to not know. And nobody can pressure me into believing or thinking the way that they do. So, I think a lot of people even looked at Harris and when she was campaigning and stuff and saw that she was just kind of the safe bet. My whole thing of it is that I didn't want to vote for Harris because she was the type of politician. I'm not saying she's bad or that she was evil in any way, but the safe bet is kind of what got us here, right? The same type of politician that got us in the place that we're at right now. And when you have these career politicians who have been in office trying to say that what Trump is doing is absolutely awful, that he's gutting our institutions and that, our democracy is at stake, they're not helping the situations because they're the ones that got us in the place that we're in now. So if a career politician that's been in since I was just literally a young kid, if they're sitting there trying to tell me that what Trump is doing is wrong and that he's just gutting our institutions, how do I know, why should I believe them? Why should I trust them? Because they have brought this country to the place that it's at right now. Now, I understand that Trump is also a massive billionaire, and, maybe there's a chance that he's only doing stuff to benefit the billionaires in this country. There's a chance that that's happening. But that's also where the country was going anyways. That's already where the country was already at. So what am I supposed to do? So am I supposed to, get behind this movement to stand up to Trump, right? But to do what? To do the same thing that we've always done? How could I in 4 years time from now, 8 years time from now, or whatever, sit there and complain about our medical industry, about our insurance, about our pharmaceutical companies, about our economy, the taxes that we pay in this country are astronomical, and we're really not getting anything in return. Like, we're spending massive amounts of money on just crazy stuff, and we're not really seeing anything in return. How could I sit here and try to oppose somebody like Trump and RFK Jr. and stuff like that, and then in 48 years from now, I'd sit there and complain about our medical system, our insurance policies, our pharmaceutical companies, and sit there and complain about it when there's a chance that they're trying to fix it right now? It's not going to look conventional, because conventional was bad. Conventional has got us here. Conventional is broken. The conventional way is failing. So this may literally be what needs to happen. I don't appreciate things like, the tariffs and stuff like that, but think about it. There's a chance that he's doing a bunch of this stuff and creating all of this massive drama, getting everybody fired up and everybody worked up. And it could be just that he's a buffoon, a baboon, trying to appear powerful, trying to make it look like he's actually doing something, but he's actually just kind of putting up this paper wall type thing, right? And kind of, that he's just an idiot, right? There's that possibility. I don't know. That's what I'm saying, is I don't know. There's a very real possibility that that's what's going on. But there also could be this thing where, he's coming out there, he's being bold, he's being in your face, and he's saying, I'm going to put all of these tariffs on Canada, on Mexico, on China. And at first thought, it's like, oh yeah, I don't see how that could be helpful, because I'm going to end up paying for those. It's going to end up just being another tax, right? That's what tariffs generally end up being if you don't do them properly, is that it just ends up being another tax on me, because the corporations aren't going to pay that extra 25%, so I will. The government gets that extra 25%, so it's just them kind of raising taxes without saying they're raising taxes, right? But then, literally within days of him saying this and creating this big, rift or whatever, they're already saying, well, we may not even have to impose these tariffs anymore, because, Canada is going to help us secure our border. Mexico is going to help us secure our border, because the inflow of drugs is a real thing. That is a real bad thing in this country. Now, I understand that the problem is also our demand for drugs. That is a big problem. We have to actually fix our demand for drugs, which means that we also have to give people a hope for America, because I think that's why we have so many angry, spiteful people in this country and just flat out depressed, is because we don't see a good, positive future. And so there is a demand for drugs, and obviously where there's a demand, somebody's going to fill it, right? And it just happens to be coming across our borders. So them, striking a deal for them to come up here and help us secure our borders, that may have actually been the plan all along. He may have known that if he comes out there and he pisses a bunch of people off, that they would be like, hey, we don't want these tariffs, we don't want these trade wars. And then you might have been like, well, okay, well, if you don't want that, there's a simple fix to this. How about you guys come up here, you guys send your National Guard up, we have ours on our side, we're going to police these borders, we're going to try to shut this flow of drugs off to this country. What's wrong with that? And you have to understand that the media will paint this any way they want to. They hate Trump. They absolutely hate Trump. And to make sense of this too, is that the right did this to Biden as well, right? So the right absolutely smeared Biden horribly. The conspiracy theories, the things they said about him and even Obama and their spouses were just absolutely vile and absolutely hideous, right? But the left is not above that. They will literally spin this into whatever they want to as a political agenda. He could be doing the right thing, he could be doing a good thing. They're not going to care, because once again, everything in the United States when it comes to these systems is just flat out broken, including our media as well. So for somebody like me sitting here looking at all of this, I'm sitting here going like, ooh, that could be bad, but it could also be good, right? Like, you don't know. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say, is you don't know. Like, this dude could literally crash and burn the United States, right? But on the flip side of that, he could also be doing exactly what is needed. We're going to find out, I mean, we will find out, there is the third chance that he could possibly, just be doing all of this as a weak show of force, trying to make people believe that he's actually really doing something, and it's really not going to amount to anything. Like, I mean, I personally believe that, 50 to 75% of the executive orders that he's signed in Washington, like, I think that half of those are just to create a ruckus. Like, I don't think they're actually going to do anything, the vast majority of them. So yeah, I mean, I think it could go either way. I mean, it could be horrible. The guy could be an absolute idiot. He could absolutely be just firebombing the United States right now. Or some of it could actually be good. We just simply don't know yet. And I don't have to sit here and pretend like I do, because I don't. So yeah, there's a lot of things I disagree with him on. A lot of things I wish he would change. I don't want to turn the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. I don't want to own Canada. I don't want to own Greenland or Iceland or whatever. I don't want to try to acquire all of these different countries, or the Gaza Strip or whatever he was saying that we would acquire too. Like, that's all bullshit. Like, I don't like him talking like that, and because of that, those types of things, that's why I could not vote for him. And I hope he's just full of shit when he's talking about stuff like that. Because if he actually legitimately does try to, like, acquire them in some ways, like, the Canadians don't want to be Americans. Neither does any other country. Like, we all want to be left alone, right? So I don't want him creating another, like, trade war or trying to acquire all of these countries to, make them United States. Like, that's all bullshit. Like, it's all bullshit, and I hope that's all it is. I hope he never actually follows through with any of it. I hope the media is blowing that out of proportion. Or if he does try, I hope we have enough sane people here to block the effort. But anyways, it's okay to not know sometimes. And I'm going to have to get going. I have a couple things to do today. But it is a beautiful day out here today. It is absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, it's not necessarily cold, but it's not warm either, which means you can come out here and take a walk comfortably and not sweat or freeze your balls off. So y'all have a good day. These are just my thoughts on it. I hope it helps somebody. If you're feeling pressured into making up your mind on what you want to do or what you want to believe, whose side you want to be on, and you don't know, I hope this helps. Have a good one.